understand your latest vainglorious attempt to reclaim Olympus for the gods did not pan out. Perhaps in the moment you witnessed the father of all monsters in all his terrifying stature, you at last understood your folly.
You awakened that monstrosity and call me vainglorious? Typhon is not going to take orders from you or anyone. He'll have nothing left to rule over if he has his way.
No, you gods shall have nothing left to rule over if he has his way, and I mine. Typhon may not be the negotiating type, but we need no agreement to pursue the same result.
Father, I'm afraid the matter on Olympus is more dire than we thought. For Chronos reawakened Typhon, who is very, very large, and dead set on destroying the palace of Zeus.
Such a predictable and reckless action on the Titan's part. Although your Uncle Zeus may not be quite as spry as when he and that monster previously clashed.
You don't seem so surprised. How did you all defeat Typhon before? I've never fought something like him.
Nor should you fight something like him, daughter. Let Zeus clean up his mess. His thunderbolt proved quite effective in the past. Although you'd think that an embodiment of storms and rage would be immune.
I'm not about to abandon our family to face this threat on their own.
Then you're in the wrong place. For if you think thwarting the Titan shall stop Typhon in turn, you're wrong. A monster such as that cannot be controlled. Go, see for yourself. When first we had to fend off Typhon long ago, we dared not think the Titan Lord, whom we had already disposed of, was responsible. Surely not even he in all his arrogance believed that such a monster would bend to his will.
All Chronos probably expected was that the monster would immediately attack Olympus. How could he have awakened such a thing without our family even noticing?
With Nyx herself amongst the Titan Lord's captives, all that transpires deep within the earth cannot be known by anyone. And now, even though both Typhon and the Titan fell to us before, we have never had to face them both at once.
Have you any idea why this mountain has been shaking ceaselessly? Doubtless to the occasional dismay of your honored guests.
Yes, I do. Sometimes the feasting gets a little rowdy, if you know what I mean, with all the dancing and whatnot. Uncle Poseidon's not the only earthshaker on Olympus.
No, Typhon has awakened. The father of all monsters now threatens your own father's palace. You can ignore Chronos somehow, fine. Prometheus, perhaps. But not this.
Oh no, Typhon's out there, come to ruin everything. Whatever we do. See that, baby? Nobody cares. Whatever happens, happens. And we're gonna feast until it does, no matter what. Nice try with that one, though.
I understand the being you call Typhon presents a significant problem for the Olympians, and now also for you. I had not necessarily expected he and Chronos would join forces. Perhaps this is why I could not detect Typhon's reawakening. The being that you know as Typhon is the product of an earlier experiment of mine. I sought for my creations to surprise and multiply, but perhaps not to that extent, and I cannot unmake him now.
In all my rancor, I never thought Chronos completely mad. But what else could have driven him to use the father of all monsters as a weapon? Typhon heeds no master. The destruction of Olympus shall not sate his appetites. You see the size of that terrible Typhon, my niece? It has been so long since last we fought that I dare say he's grown still larger in the intervening time. And sneakier as well. All of that shaking here, you much from him.
This night, O moon.
That foolish Titan. He has awakened Typhon, the most terrible monstrosity that ever lived. I still bear my scars from when we first clashed very long ago. Together, we did vanquish him before. We shall have to manage it again.
You've seen the size of the bloody monster been clambering up our mountainside, would you? I haven't, thankfully, but hearing that he's pretty big in size. Typhon himself. I scarce can keep a steady hand with him about.
It's blasted Typhon, girl. The the worst monstrosity you can imagine. Chronos up and decided to wake him from his deathly slumber and pointed him towards us. So what if we cannot die? Things can still be very bad for us.
Colossal Typhon is an even greater threat than I could have imagined, my kin. How envious I felt, hearing the tales of our elders fending off the father of all monsters. But now we all are witness to his wild rage firsthand.
Since Typhon's back, I thought I'd say nice knowing you, dearie. Not that we're going down without a fight, but just in case. We barely beat him when we first settled up with Chronos way back when. But now he's grown a lot.
Good news is we can now be sure what Gramps had planned for us, but bad news is it's Typhon and he's big. But my pop stopped him once, so how hard could it be?
You've seen what plagues us at the summit, haven't you? The source of all the tremors. Almost as though the mountain itself quakes with fear. We need a plan.
The gods have stood against Typhon before. Wasn't it a well-placed thunderbolt from Zeus that did him in?
Tales of valor and deeds of valor are not always one and the same. Then let us lure this Typhon toward the summit, where our strength combined with yours is the best opportunity we have. And please take care, cousin.
So what is even happening there at the Mountain of the Gods? Some nights, great plumes of flame appear on the horizon, and storm clouds, terrible as ever I have seen.
The source of these phenomena is a two-pronged assault on Mount Olympus. The Titan Prometheus and his raiders, and the monster Typhon himself. I'm headed to face them.
Good heavens, you mean face them all, Poppet? Although perchance the perils you confront beneath the earth are even worse. Let me protect you then, as best I can.
There's some catastrophic storm brewing at the top of Olympus. Can't get anywhere near it. What's happening up there?
That storm conceals the real threat. Chronos awakened the father of all monsters and set him loose. These forces we're fighting, they're just a stalling tactic and a feint.
You're saying that's bloody Typhon? Oh, God. Since I was young, I prayed to all of you for safety and good fortune from my tower. Now it's you yourselves who'd better pray.
No, we're going to destroy that thing. I don't yet know all that requires, though prayer most likely won't be necessary.
Well, then I'll pray just in case. Figure it couldn't hurt. Just please be careful, Melly. And before you go, take one of these.
I reached the summit of Olympus finally. They're fighting back against Typhon himself. Perhaps you knew already. He's quite enormous, yes.
We've bigger problems on Olympus than we counted on, I hear. Our worst fears realized and so on. You'd think I'd be more capable of tracking prey that's Typhon size.
You were tracking Chronos, me perhaps. But if it's any consolation, finding Typhon ought to be quite easy at this point. Bringing him down, less so.
I'll take your word for it. My father's much too proud to call me back to aid in our defense. Says I'm still needed here. If he wants Typhon to himself so badly, he can have him.
So if you get past me again, what's next for you, Trouble? I've never seen someone go through so much just to see their family. Most of us have to try to stay away from ours.
That terrifying cloud encompassing the summit of Olympus conceals Typhon, in case you haven't heard. I'm surprised you haven't gone to see him for yourself. Anyway, Prometheus is next, then Typhon. But you first.
You're telling me you're here to pick bigger and bigger fights? Babe, I knew we had something going on, but we have more in common than I thought. Come on, let's go.
The monster Typhon isn't liable to stop, you know. He has your family on the back foot, cowering in your Lord Uncle's palace, exactly where we want them.
A suitable distraction I can take advantage of, just as soon as you're out of the way, along with your bird.
You're telling me your plans. Now we're truly getting to know each other. I almost regret what's about to transpire.
My sisters told me of a certain prophecy even I thought would never come to pass. That Olympus would once again face the fury of the father of all monsters, and their conflict would shake the world to its core. And now it's happening.
You mean you knew Typhon's attack was a real possibility? Why didn't you warn us? We could have prepared.
I was not permitted to warn you. Had I done so, it merely would have expedited an outcome I now realize was bound to happen anyway. Though perhaps your implication is correct, and this is all my fault.
What? How is this all your fault? Unless you aided Chronos in awakening the most notorious fiend the gods ever faced, I don't see how you had anything to do with this.
Unraveling a fateful bond. I abetted your plans to gain the surface. The awakening of Typhon. Perhaps it's a punishment. And a reminder never to defy the fates. Princess, please forgive me.
Nonsense. Chronos did this, not you.
You've Typhon to contend with on that mountaintop, goddess? Our shades say he's near the size of a mountain himself. Please tell me that's hyperbole on their part.
Well, to put it in perspective, by my estimation, he's at least 100 times the size of Polyphemus. Though I've not had the opportunity to take his measure properly.
You'll take his measure yet, I reckon. It's what you've done with every other foe you've faced thus far. Our shades and the good witch think it unwise to take on such a threat yourself, but you're not planning to back down, are you?
No.
Good.
Mind telling all these shades that no, the father of all monsters isn't back? Because they're so caught up with this outrageous rumor, they don't buy it when I tell them.
Commander, the thing is, I confronted Typhon himself just last night. While Chronos schemes from the underworld, that monstrosity attacks Olympus.
I knew all that. It's just, I was just checking to see if my disciples had the nerve to stand up for that which they truly believed. And they did. Nice going, everyone.
So you knew of Typhon's return?
Yeah.
So now Olympus has to deal with Typhon, huh? Wonder if Chronos made a deal with him or just revived and set him loose. Either way, a plan like that takes a lot of guts.
You sound rather impressed. I'm certain Chronos would welcome you into his ranks as well if you just tell him how you really feel.
Hit a nerve? Fine. Doesn't change the fact our enemy outsmarted us. So no need to keep wasting your time up top. Wait, you're not going to try and fight that thing, are you?
You really think I'm going to leave my family on Olympus to face that monster on their own? You don't know me at all.
Nice knowing you anyway.
A real pleasure.
Has the thin air upon that mountain made you mad, Malinoe? Confronting Typhon of all creatures face to face. Hermes told me everything, save what was going through your head.
He's much, much larger than any other foe I've faced, but that doesn't make him invincible. I suspected he'd have a difficult time contending with a small, quick adversary.
I would commend you for the outcome were I not so utterly aghast. The father of all monsters may not be quite so easy to surprise ere you confront him again. Do not take unnecessary risks, or lose sight of the task.
Yes, Headmistress.
'Tis a wonder that your mountain relatives are still able to be of benefit to you whilst having Typhon at their gates. Do they have any sort of strategy to stop him, do you know?
They're working together to drive him back, along with the Titan's legions. But if they have a greater plan to put an end to the assault, they've not yet let on.
Let us assume, then, that they've no such plan. However, I'm beginning to think that the father of all monsters may yet figure into ours. Collect what samples that you can from him.
I shall, Headmistress.